All right, I'm going to try and do one more here. So, anyhow, hello and welcome to Answering Atheism, episode 15. 15. So, half of 30 and one third of 45 and so forth. All right, last time was pretty good. Pretty good video. Although I want one thing as a template so that I don't try and deliver it awkwardly. But anyhow, if you don't know what this sort of series or show, whatever you want to call it, is about, is I, from the Christian side of things, select from the internet a atheist comment. A lot of them often militant, and we're going to use them for good. We're going to bring them on to the show after I spend a limited amount of time doing prep work for this video with my notes and stuff. And I will try my best, not perfect, but I'll try my best to dismantle what is said and if possible, deliver a counter of some sort, and potentially bonus topics if I have something on my mind, which this one will have bonus topics. So, anyhow, let us get to the quote. All right, here's the quote. USA never was or never have been a Christian nation. It's a secular nation where a large populace happen to be Christian. Very interesting. Very interesting comment. You know, at least he kind of admits something in there, where a large populace happen to be Christian. At least he admits that part, But, the tide is turning. The tide is definitely turning. And it's going to go one way, because that's just what the powers that be are directing things. So, USA never was or never have been a Christian nation. I don't know. I can hear people claim both ways here and there, and I think we need to, kind of go through the history of it a little bit to kind of deliver the points on it. But I think what this is, I think what this was kind of like a Nero and Rome parallel, where he's trying to blame America's decline on Christianity, just as Nero did when Nero wanted to persecute Christians with his burning of Rome and all that, So, anyhow, let's go back in time a bit, and let's see if we can get to the root of this. So, USA never was or never have been a Christian nation. It's a secular nation where a large populace happen to be Christian. How long is that going to last, though? How long is that going to last? We've had over like 50 some years of the opposite. So, how long is that going to last? The whatchamacallit, the ship is rocking the other way, the seesaw is reverting to the other side, type of a deal. But anyhow, America, way back then, you would even way before that, Tower of Babel, the splitting up of people. You would have the folks coming across the Bering Strait land bridge from whatever now Canada over into Europe somewhere near there, or whatever the case. I forget the map, the pictures and stuff like that, but you would have had that. You would have had the Indians, American Indians over here. Well, the Indians. That's the other thing. There's two types of Indians. There's India Indians and there's America Indians. We're talking American Indians, obviously. They were definitely not Christian. They were definitely not Christian. So they were here. And then you had the English Protestant separatists coming over who were fleeing the England Catholic Church, persecuting people. They were fleeing from that. They needed to take refuge from that. They wanted their freedoms. And they were fleeing those problems with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church was trying to got way too powerful, and they just got tons of power, tons of money, and then went to persecution of anyone who might disagree with them, essentially on doctrine or anything this or that. What were those guys called? I forget what they're called, but people who would carry out the dealing with people back then with the Catholic Church. I forget who it was, what they were called, but yeah, they wanted to worship freely. They wanted to be able to believe what they got from Scripture themselves, rather than have the Catholic Church as an authority system and persecute everyone and murder people. Not good. They also had others along with them, but as a minority. So the majority were Christian from the founding. They became known as the Pilgrims. And then we had old Henry VIII, who founded the Church of England. So I think that became the Anglican Church. Anglican. And then you had a second group coming to the New World, America. They were the Puritans. And what was with them is, unlike the Pilgrims, the Puritans, they sought, instead of to just flee, they wanted to stick around with the power system there, the Catholic Church and the England Church. They wanted to change things from the inside out, and that didn't pan out. So they were coming over here as well. So the English Protestant separatists the Pilgrims, the Puritans coming over here. So the others, a minority. So America from the get-go, essentially, very much majority Christian. So on it, not officially this or that, but essentially a Christian nation. But they couldn't say this or that, or that's exactly what they were trying to avoid, is another bonkers authority system that becomes like infinite power, like the Catholic Church and their persecution and murdering of people. They murdered a lot of people. There's a book called Fox's Book of Martyrs, I think, and I think I've only read the first 1, 2, or 3 accounts, but just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. So then you have America, the New World over here, based on, it comes to the point where things are based on life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Inalienable rights from a common, granted by a common creator, aka God, and all men being equal. So, essentially, any and every American atheist, any atheist in America, is using and taking advantage of rights from God, granted from God. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right of pursuit of happiness. We also have all sorts of other things, right to privacy and this and that, but that's essentially the meat and potatoes there. But anyhow, does the majority matter, though? Think about it. Back with the global flood of Genesis, of Noah and his ark, 3 sons, 3 wives. Only those 8 were found to be worthy. And not only that, only those 8 cared to be on the ark, to be saved. The whole rest of the world did not care. So 8 versus potentially, I don't know how many. And who was right? Who turned out to be right? There was a grace period. God's patience runs out after a time. So, was that majority right? And does that majority determine truth? No. If, let's just say, for instance, there's a boatload more of societal decline in America. Let's say that we arrive to the point, I don't know how many years, let's say 50 more years. Let's say 2067. Let's say in 2067, 60% of America comes to believe murdering children up to 7 years old is morally okay. Now, is murdering children up to several years old morally okay? Are people going to call out that evil? Or are people going to be too afraid to lose friends, family, you know, are people going to stay silent if that happens? Or are people going to call out the evil? And is there going to be people who are saying calling it out is this and that and phobic and this and that and just bonkers? You know, if you call it out, are you going to be the bad guy? It's pretty much, that's the way things are going. That's the way things are going. So if 60% believed it, even if 90% believed it, would it be okay? Is it wrong to lie, to steal? Are people going to spout off and run their mouths about how it's the parents' rights, how it's the parents' right to murder their children up to several years old if they don't want to deal with it? Is that what people are going to say? I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm trying to be genuine here. I'm trying to be genuine. Because I think abortion as we know it, aka baby murder, abortion as we know it, murder of babies, I think that's just phase one. I think that's just phase one. Phase two is yet to come. Phase two is yet to come. I think there is a phase two down the road, and I think something like that is it. I don't have the article linked or anything. I don't have the article saved, but I did think I heard that someone argued for it and made a bill or something. One person made some sort of argument like that for that, like murdering kids up to several years old, something along those lines. So, man. Anyhow, that was just a bit I wanted to kind of talk about, and then I wanted to talk a bit here about America versus the Aztecs, considering we were kind of talking about them a moment ago. They kind of came to mind. And if you compare America versus the Aztec, the Aztecs, Americans versus the Aztecs, on this one regard, I'm not saying as a whole, but on this one basis, on this one regard that I'm zoning in on, you know, essentially America the Fallen. America the Fallen. You know, I don't know how many years ago it was. I'll just say 500. I don't know the exact. But, you know, the time of the Aztecs. So let's say, you know, 500 years ago or whatever. You had the Aztecs with their you know, pyramid-like structures, and you had various human sacrifice where they would where they would kill their own people, lots of their own people, upon those pyramid-like structures. They were, with their beliefs, they became fearful. They made some sort of sun god, made up some sort of sun god type thing, and they thought they had to sacrifice all these people and kind of like feed the sun as like an energy source or something like that. If they did not, well, then the sun wouldn't come up the next day, they thought. And to try it out would be too risky. So, makes you curious how that got started even. Because before it would have started, they wouldn't have done the sacrifices. So somehow it must have been happening anyway, and it got associated at some point, and then over time, that's just what people believed. So that was the Aztecs. Now, well, we'll still go with it. The Aztecs, you know, they would sacrifice people. Some of them, I think the most popular view of it is they would cut out, this stuff just grosses me out big league. They would cut out the human heart right out of the victim, right out of the person, and it would still be going. Good grief, that is so sick. That is disgusting. So they would cut the heart out, sacrifice atop these pyramid-like structures. 500 years ago, murdering their own people. Think about that. Think about that. Think about it. What about America today? What about America today? Americans are involved, unfortunately, in a form of human sacrifice as well. More zoned in, though, even worse, child sacrifice via abortion, aka a nice little friendly label to try and cover up what actually happens and to try and justify the act of murder. Not only is it child sacrifice, but you have the selling, or so far I've heard, there's plenty of articles and things about it, the selling of the baby parts, like something you would expect at a, people to do with used cars. Babies murdered and treated like used cars. What has happened to the value of human life? I'm telling you, there's a decline. There's a societal decline. 10 years. Took 10 years after God and Bible got kind of tossed out of schools in a mandatory sense. 10 years after that, essentially, you had the legalization of murdering unborn babies. And people have come up with all sorts of different terms and this and that to try and dehumanize the baby, to try and justify what they did, and this and that, and to try and make them feel fine. Not good, not good, not good. When one is trying to justify sin, that's not good. When one is trying to cover it up, not good. So, and to try and dehumanize a human baby, to murder it, and to sell the pieces like a used car, is sick and evil. And that is normalized today. It's how far we have fallen. 50 some years of secularization. Just 10 years and abortion got pushed through, legalized. But yeah, it's not America the strong. It's America the fallen. We are seeing it unfold day to day. You would not believe the articles I see here and there. You would not believe them. I wish I had the time to go over every article that I see. It's just stunning. I think most recently, there was an article that someone from California is being investigated because they claimed two genders. I think New York has a law where if you misgender someone, it could be $250,000 or $500,000 fine and prison time. This is not a good direction. It's being done on purpose. The destruction of America is no accident. The powers that be are directing things where they want them to go. So, if the atheist, or militant atheist rather, feels all power hungry by the direction of the country, you're being played like a fiddle. You're being played like a fiddle. So, that is my warning. But anyhow, to add even another bonus topic, I don't know. I should hold off on this because this video is long enough already. We'll save it for next time. A lot of how far the country has declined. I want to save it until next time. So, anyhow, if you're not saved, encourage you to place your faith on Jesus, God in the flesh, who died, was perfect, rose again the third day, conquered death. Place your faith and trust on Him to save you. And He is our Redeemer. We can be forgiven of our wrongs, our sins, even if you aborted a baby or this or that. If you stayed silent or wanted to, we're more worried about a friendship or keeping a good relationship with a family member over standing up for the baby. You can totally be forgiven of that. God has plenty of mercy and grace, but you have to accept the free gift of salvation. Jesus said He is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through Him. So He is the door. So that's that. So yeah, I would like a template thing for that in the future, to dish out at the end of these. Hopefully we did some good and get someone saved. So help get someone saved rather. So thank you very much. Stay tuned for episode 16 at some point. Hopefully we make a lot of these. I think they're going to be good. So, and hopefully we get a fair amount of views and comments too. It's not a popularity contest. That's not what this is about. It's not about getting likes on the video or anything like that. That's not what we're going for, our purpose. So, anyhow, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more Answering Atheism. This was episode 15. We're halfway to 30. I want to get to 100. That would be great. I want to get there. But it's probably going to take us quite a long time. So, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I will see you up ahead. Take her cool.